10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Dire team pick. Radiant team pick. Dire team pick. Dire team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Welcome back, guys. Game number 2 is here, underway and ready. ESL 1 at New York, North American qualifiers. I'm Durka in the JD Studios, and we've got our draft. Mischief going up against High Council of Wizards and Priests. High Council for short, and Mischief, they've tagged themselves up as Black Sheep. But we saw what they could do in game number 1. Pretty strong performance out there, and they've got the Shadow Fiend once more. But I'm not alone tonight. My co-caster Scant is here and ready to take us through the draft as well. How you doing? You still a little bit tired?
Yeah, I'm pretty exhausted, but I'm alive. I found a chocolate to, re-energize, and yeah, I'm up for the game. And honestly, last game quite interesting. If you consider the first few minutes, really looked like High Council were taking quite a convincing lead. Could have ran away with the game. Then the game turns around on its head. Immediately following a series of pretty clutch wisp saves. Black Sheep or Mischief, whatever you want to call them, starts taking a very clear, convincing lead. And then we have the almost turnaround, but not quite at the end. So it almost makes me want to say that there's not much between these teams, that they're quite evenly matched, that the game's able to take that many turns.
Yeah, and this time around, no Gyrocopter first phase pick, no Bloodseeker ban, but Lina, Naga, Lesh Bounty Hunter taken out. They got the Earthshaker and Shadow Fiend for Black Sheep, which is the age-old combination, where you have the Shadow Fiend farming, stacking. ES is like the holding roll behind to make sure that you don't get jumped by things like the Tusk Snowball. But Storm Spirit is taken up by High Council. That Scarth Mage really does stick a thorn in your side, because he sits mid for the first couple of ways. You throw the Scarth Mage in either an off-lane dual lane for the first minute and a half or 2 minutes, or you throw him mid for the Arcane Bolts, and you can do very little as a mid laner. And I'm wondering now, with the Wind Ranger picked up, maybe that's going to be Storm safe lane and Wind Ranger towards the middle lane just to try and deal with that a little bit more, because at least Wind Ranger can trade hits with the Scarth, at least decently.
Yeah, I think it is. I think, judging by the kinds of roles that Clairvoyance and Mason had last game, it's more likely Mason would be playing Storm than Wind Ranger, and it's more likely Clairvoyance to be playing Wind Ranger than Storm. I'm not too sure. If you look at the fact that Clairvoyance's Quap was quite underfarmed that game, I want to say some elements of it was deliberate. That, he's not going to take up that much space, he's going to leave everything for the Anti-Mage and the Darkseer. Definitely he didn't have the best game, but to some extent it does feel like this team is a team that heavily prioritizes the farm of Mason. And if it's between a Storm and a Wind Ranger, between one being heavily prioritized, I think it needs to be the Storm.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And Black Sheep, oh, okay. Shadow Fiend and Queen of Pain. Interesting. Now, Queen of Pain on the safe lane, we saw a lot from the Chinese teams, 4 months ago, I guess 2 months before TI, something like that. It became very popular. But we haven't seen a lot of it recently. We've seen a little bit of the resurgence of offlane Queen of Pain, either in the solo or dual offlane role. But safe lane Shadow Fiend is also a thing that you could run. Dire side, you've got decent access into the jungle. It's not too bad. I'm just wondering if this is sort of looking at the lanes. They're trying to find the best mid matchup that they possibly can.
Reserve time.
I think the Quap pickup suggests an aggressive tri lane, to be honest. I think they think that there's a safe lane Storm, and so now they've got a Quap that could solo safe lane easily, and they could go aggressive against it. And safe lane Storm does terribly against aggressive tri lanes, if that is the case.
Oh yeah, that's true. Oh, well, we'll see where they go with this. Broodmother is banned out. Another one of those heroes that's very, very difficult to handle if you do have something like a Storm Spirit on the safe lane. You know, he can do decently later on when you zip in with a dust and you can catch the Brood, but early laning phase is pretty difficult up against the Brood when you have no real support so far to handle him. You know, Tusk with the Snowball you can initiate, but you don't have ways of clearing the Spiderlings until you get to like level 3 with the Ice Shards. And 5th pickup here. What do you reckon? Because offlane Clock support Tusk, Windranger and Storm, you know, mid or safe lane for those guys. So it's got to be the final support, right? But what do you really want to look for here? An AA?
5 seconds remaining.
I was thinking it needs to be something like that excels in 3v3 if they get forced into that, because I think it's a real possibility. So I'm looking at something like Witch Doctor. That's the one I was about to say. The only hero I could think of actually left in, which can actually fit that role, there's some potential with Witch Doctor Tusk +1, even if it's Storm, to take a 3v3, and it might be just enough to deter Mischief from actually taking that approach to the lanes. We'll have a better idea once we see their last hero, because they have the freedom to take either strong supports and run the ES as the core in the lane,
10 seconds remaining.
Take whatever core fits. So I definitely think they could still set up an aggressive tri lane and have a very powerful laning stage if they want to.
Okay. Well, Clockwork should do well against the Earthshaker regardless of the period of the game. And I'm just wondering, with this Scareth pick, it's obviously a pretty good pick for Black Sheep, but also a decent block pick against High Council. That Clockwork, Hookshot, Cogs, Mystic Flare combo is always difficult to handle regardless of who you got on your team. And with the Winter Wyvern 5th ban out there from Black Sheep, kind of limited the options of High Council to go into that Witch Doctor, and oh, it's the Bloodseeker. It's the Bloodseeker. Is this going to be looking towards the 1v1 against Clockwork? It's going to be really important for both teams to get that initial intel. Find out how the lanes are set up, because Bloodseeker wants the 1v1, right? He doesn't really want supports behind him, leeching his experience. He wants to hit level 6 fast. He wants to get those levels up in Thirst as well. Well, Earthshaker and Scarlet, you know, they can zone out other lanes, run dual lanes, and stack the jungle a ton for the Shadow Fiend.
It kind of makes me expect them to run the Bloodseeker as the 1v1 versus Clock with like a dual lane with a Queen of Pain +1 and the other support just running around. Because even an aggressive dual lane will do reasonably well against the defensive lane that's being set up here, just because the Storm Spirit itself doesn't contribute a whole lot until level 6.
10 seconds remaining.
Well, Jonathan's picked that up. Justin on the Quap. Ush, of course, is notorious Shadow Fiend. And Sunby Earthshaker this time around. What else have we got? Well, Radiant, Bleak, Witch Doctor, Fogged, and Demon. Oh wow, the mass TP is out. Holy crap, okay.
Do they see each other? That's always the question. Do they spot each other?
Yep, there we go. Well, we saw this last game. Fog TP'd out to counteract the wards out. And Sunby, no difference this time. But Demon on the Clockwork, he got his Observer Ward down already. Pretty deep already as well. Now, this Bloodseeker, obviously Stout Shield and Quelling are pretty standard laning items already. Is it possible he goes jungle?
It is possible, yes. I mean, he's the offlaner, right?
He was the offlaner last game.
I thought they were going to set him up just in the safe lane 1v1, but it's certainly possible.
I only
also
asked...
interesting that he has no regen though, which I don't know if you can jungle Bloodseeker from level 1 without any regen at all.
30 seconds to battle.
You can with the Blood Rage. You know, you just whack away at like a centaur or something, and then you leech back the HP. And he's also going for Poor Man's Rush. I'm only asking because Sunby is down on this bot lane as the Earthshaker alone for now. And Jonathan isn't making any strides down there. Oh, okay. Sunby gets the Observer Ward. Okay. This Earthshaker's done a great job already. But yeah, the ES has 4 clarities, which is more indicative of an offlane role than a support role. That's kind of what I'm looking at here.
Yeah, it looks like they're just going for a greedy approach. And it does again, it's a totally different way, but it's related to the safe lane storm again. You punish the fact that the enemy team is a safe lane storm because the supports need to be there to protect the storm, so they can't run around and punish you for being greedy and running this jungler. And I think, yeah, your call's exactly right. I mean, yeah, I guess it makes sense. For some reason, I don't think I've ever seen any hero start in the jungle with no regen at all. But if there was a hero to do it, it would be Bloodseeker.
Yeah.
And especially with that choke points, I think it'll be just fine.
He finds a Centaur first. That's pretty much perfect as well. So you can tank this one up. The little Centaur runs back and forth. Doesn't know where to go. My pathing's broken. Valve, please send help. The Centaur Courser. He's stuck in a world of his own. But yeah, with the Blood Rage, you'll heal yourself back up. It's pretty much full HP. And be pretty happy over in the jungle. Now, last hits wise, what we're looking at. Earthshaker with 2. One of those is not too bad. But the Shadow Fiend 0 and 2. 2 denies. No last hits just yet. He's hit level 2, so he's got the razors available for himself now. Jonathan actually managed to stack up his medium camp. Interesting. And how are the other lanes? Like Red Bull. Red Bull. Oh my god. I was just at a Red Bull event, so in my head, I'm drinking Red Bull. It's stuck in my head. I see the clockwork. The first thing I read is Red Bull, so my brain automatically says it. Demon on the clockwork.
Ash nearly just went down. He has to go to base, I think.
Oh wow. So Clairvoyant's definitely stepping up his game this time around.
Yeah. Dominating the lane from the beginning this time, and
Demon.
that's really big. I mean, the crew was busy, so he couldn't even send a soul.
Is Demon dead here? Yeah, looks like he is. First blood, gonna go the way of the Scarf Mage. No, the Queen of Pain picks that one up. Jubei stuck in here with the little hellbear, but he'll be okay to walk himself out the cogs.
It's a really big deal actually for Wind Ranger to start so far ahead in this mid lane, because the way that Mischief set up their lanes, they were gonna get free farm in the jungle, they're gonna win the safe lane, and if they were to win mid lane, it would just be far too much to justify safe lane storm that the entire enemy team, except for the off lane ES, is getting like incredible value. And the ES is getting decent value too, but because Clairvoyance is doing a good job in this mid lane to start with, it does reduce some of the pressure. And here's a DD Tusk actually snowballing on
Dash. Caught him! And with the shards, I don't know if it's got enough damage. There's no mana over in Clairvoyance, so they can't get the shackle or power shot. I mean, there's no level. There's one level of shackle there. But they couldn't find it, and Fogged is still chasing this, really forcing Usher out of lane, but he's walked into the Bloodseeker. As well as the Scarf Mage and Blood Rage, 1 raise. Jonathan finds the kill. But yeah, Clairvoyance actually went for a snipe on the Scarf Mage with a power shot across. Narrowly missed it. And then Scarf denied himself to neutrals, but this Dire Observer ward here has really paid out. Seeing every single movement of the Wind Ranger, and then obviously watching the Tusk. And he did chase up that Shadow Fiend. Now they've got 2 kills up on the board, and Ush isn't that far behind anymore. You know, he's still not great. He's still not even with the Wind Ranger, but it's not as awful as it really started out as.
Yeah, it's a bit unnecessary, I think, of Fog to give away that kill. Maybe you're not expecting there to be so many heroes there, forgetting about the jungle Bloodseeker. But he had done a really good job zoning the Shadow Fiend out of the lane, and I think just pushed it a bit too far. Ended up giving him value instead of taking away value.
Well, Storm Spirit is down at bottom lane, just farming away, and once again, Mason is pretty much the sleeper cell. He's the one that sits there, doesn't really get touched too much. But Black Sheep, they've got other things on their mind. They've got Justin farming up at top, and when we saw this Storm Spirit against Queen of Pain in 6.83, when one team would always pretty much have one of these heroes, we saw that transition to the safe lane Quapple and the safe lane Storm to try and rush the Orchid, right? Do you think it's still okay for the Storm to try and go Orchid here if he gets unimpeded farm? And they do try that rush to Orchid to see who gets it first, because they counter each other in effect. Both of them can jump and find kills. Oh god, Clairvoyance found by Sunbee's Earthshaker rotation. But yeah, back to the point. Storm and Quap, they counter each other once they have that item.
I think in isolation I'd agree that it's fine for him to rush Orchid here, and I think that actually rush Orchid's a bit underrated. For some reason the trend with Storm seems to be, for a couple of months everyone goes Bloodstone first, then for a couple of months everyone goes Orchid first, and we don't often see people like distinguishing based on the situation. I think that's a bit strange. About this actual situation though, I feel like their strategy is quite all in on Mason getting massive, and for that purpose I think you have to start with the Bloodstone. If he's gonna have to do, you know, huge carrying the way that they ended up expecting him to do last game, I don't think it works to start with the orchid, and I mean it can, but then you really need to be successful in those first few rotations with it.
The one big difference here, though, is that they've got the Wind Ranger mid, not the Queen of Pain. So they do have some form of like physical damage. You know, the magic damage start from Wind Ranger with Power Shot. The lockdown she gets from Shackle is obviously great. But you can transition into that Aghanim's Daedalus, the Maelstrom, things like that with the Wind Ranger, where you are a damage dealer. Whereas the Queen of Pain in the previous game was throw ulti, blink forward, and basically see what happens. Here it's a lot more nuanced, a lot more delicate. The Wind Ranger has quite a few more options than the Quap did in the previous. So
yeah, I think you're right about that. The problem is that what comes with that is they've got a Clockwork and a Darkseer. So sure, they will get more out of their mid laner, but they'll get less out of their off laner in terms of carrying. And so there's still going to be, yeah, Wind Ranger will help, but Storm Spirit's going to still have a lot of pressure in terms of carrying this game. And conventionally, the Bloodstone first build is like the hard carry Storm build.
Oh wow.
That's really
Oh, the Shackle! Clairvoyance catches them both, but Ush, he's found a DD rune. Snowball will keep them safe from the razors, but not for long. In comes the Bloodseeker as well. Sunbeam doesn't even die. Earthshaker escapes, and that's an awful trade out there. Black Sheep coming out massively on top, and I was just watching the progression of this, where the Queen of Pain and Skarath both left the top lane to get top rune. The Bloodseeker moved out of jungle to take mid lane and then moved to bot rune. Earthshaker and Shadowfiend, guess what they did? They moved off of lane to go and get a rune. The rune control here from Black Sheep, almost identical to last game. They are taking full control of this, and Demon, keep yourself out, but it's not fast enough. Justin, the Sonic Wave finds the kill up at top, and it's 0-6 right now in the favor of Black Sheep.
It feels a bit like just an outdraft to me at this point by Sunbeam. I think
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
I was thinking let's do an aggressive lane, they have a safe lane Storm, but the approach here, they have a safe lane Storm, they're being a bit greedy. We'll win by also being greedy, but in a outthinking them in our greed. And this is it's not really a new approach in the general sense to Dota. We've often seen teams like notice the enemy team being greedy and respond by realizing they can get some of their own greed and just get better value out of it. I just think it's quite subtle the way in which he set it up here. It wasn't that obvious, at least to me. And there isn't a response. There isn't an obvious response for the Radiant side in this game. Well, I don't think they could have adjusted their lanes to like stop Mischief from getting all this value.
No,
so it's pretty much inevitable they start behind.
Exactly. The progression of the draft was perfect from the Dire, because they had Earthshaker, Shadowfiend first, right? Those are the first two picks. And from the get-go, you don't know if the Earthshaker is support or off lane. And then came the Skarath and the Queen of Pain. You don't know if the Queen of Pain is mid, safe lane, off lane, and Shadowfiend also mid or safe lane. And at the final pick, you're kind of in a situation where you're guessing that maybe they're going for an offlaner, so you ban out the Broodmother. They could still be going for a secondary support, they could be going for anything, but the way that they've got, the mid farmy core and the Shadowfiend, the Queen of Pain, who can farm decently and is like a mid-game carry, can transition into a late game with the DPS build up from that Quap later on. And Bloodseeker is an early game carry. Once he hits level 6-7, once he gets to Tread's Blade Mail, he's running people down. Like right now, he's got the silence onto Bleak, but the hookshot comes in. Demon, they've caught Jonathan, and maybe this is going to be their first kill. The Fisher does catch 3, and Jonathan's pretty quick on his feet, but how long can he last in the shards? Not too long at all. Sunbee is kind of standing here as well. Justin storms it forward. Finally, a couple of kills to the name, 2-6. As they take down the aggressive play from Black Sheep, the Bloodseeker. All he wanted was a simple kill on the Witch Doctor. But the rotation in, Demon really making that work.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
I think it's a pretty lazy kill attempt from Jonathan there. I guess he knew his Earthshaker nearby in case he needs backup, but even so, you've been jungling, sure, you're doing alright, you're high level, you see enemy support. Bloodseeker can't solo that hero, but you didn't have a whole lot of information about where other people are, and if they work, let's say he gets away with that kill, what does that say about High Council? That you can dive our Witch Doctor at our safe lane this early in the game and we'll just not respond. You gotta respect them a bit more than that. So I think it's a bit of a lazy kill attempt, and maybe becoming a bit too complacent because they sense that they've had a very good start to the game. And now smoke rotation with 3 heroes into the enemy jungle, and this is gonna be a lot more solid of a plan for a gank. If they get the silence off, Storm Spirit will probably be dead.
Yeah, they're not gonna find it though. Mason, fast on the fingers. Now, have you seen the Skarath Mage's actual skill build?
I had not. He hasn't taken his ulti. That's very interesting.
Like, standard most obvious. Oh, okay, there we go, there we go! I've been waiting all night. I thought it was going to be Demon as well as IX Mike with the all-chat banter, but instead Mason comes out of it.
Radiant's
but you know what? He actually makes a good point. Why would Pink be solo bot? It's a good way to interpret smoke ganks, to be honest. I mean, I'm not getting behind any of the kind of bad mannering or banter or whatever, but whenever you're trying to work out if it's a good idea to smoke gank, consider what the enemy team will see while you're smoking. And if they see something that looks strange, then already your gank is quite obvious. And I think it is a bit strange for the Queen of Pain to be solo in offlane at that stage.
Yeah, especially against Storm, who maybe has a level in Vortex. They don't know that yet. A hook shot, a shackle shot, which is still level 1, but again, you don't expect a level 2 in Windrun out from Clairvoyance. But yeah, the Scarf Mage standard build is kind of like 2-1-2, and then you go for your ultimate. But here with a level 3 in Ancient Seal, you get that extra second of silence, you get the extra bit of lockdown for the Storm and the Wind Ranger. Because Windrun is a powerful ability up against these right-clicking cores like the Shadow Fiend, Quap, and Bloodseeker.
I wonder if he maxes the silence at 7 or if he goes back for the ulti. It's interesting because the ulti is kind of irrelevant in terms of if they're going for a kill for the Storm. Usually any situation they're going to try kill Storm, it's about if they get the silence or not, and then they wouldn't need the ulti, they'll have the damage. And I guess they might be thinking that's the only really important kill to be making at this point.
Oh, Jonathan's going to be shackled and focused down here, but Demon ready with the Death Ward as well from the Witch Doctor. Justin blinked in and can't get himself out. They're trapped at the cogs, but it doesn't matter. The shards come in from Fog, and they're actually turning this fight pretty nicely. Power shot to finish off, and so now Storm, Vortex up, and Kiko down and out. Even with Ush, his razors do a lot, but Mason is on the retreat. Ball lightning across, and they've got the shackle. Stops the Requiem mid-cast, and now the Yasha Ush. He's got no survivability. He cannot last through the damage. And even with the 1.5 times Requiem, Black Sheep, they lose 4. Maybe they can kill Demon here though.
No, the lottery sneak. Queen of Pain dies there with a 4. I think he actually lives.
Fisher, not going to be enough. Sunbi doesn't throw it.
Dire's top tower is under
Queen of Pain died while doing the cast animation of the ulti. And if she got it off, there were 2 kills about to happen for a team, and the fight would be completely different. So a pretty close situation there. But now, wow, it reminds me quite a lot of last game, where we started with one team several kills ahead. I think it was 5-0 for High Council. Then it went back to 5-5 or 5-6, and we've had that here too. 6-0 into 6-6. The kill score certainly equalizing. Is the dynamic of the game equalized? I'm not sure about that just yet.
Shadowfiend with Yasha and farm speed.
I mean,
like his farm speed is pretty good, and they've got better tower killing, I feel.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Yeah, I'm concerned a bit about the Bloodseeker because Mischief got all this, I said it was a really nice draft. They got extra value with the Bloodseeker being in the jungle, but he's actually come out of the jungle a few times and not achieved what he wanted to really. Possibly could have done better to just keep farming. When you're getting ahead early on by being greedy, why not just keep being greedy? Or at least if you're gonna then risk the lead that you've got and be more selective about it, I would say.
Yeah, and the fact that Storm,
they've still got
his net worth's up to 5.7k. The Queen of Pain does not have Orchid yet, and it's still early in the day, but it's not the safe lane Queen of Pain farm that we'd kind of expect. Although she's not gone for the full rush. It's not the brown boots bottle into the Orchid. She has gone for Treads first. Ush is stunned up. The cast bounce is going to be decent, but the hook shot is not from Demon. Does miss out on that, and misses out on a pretty big kill there if they manage to actually latch onto it.
I wonder. This game is on some kind of precipice. I feel like either one of these teams in the next 5 or 6 minutes could take quite a big hold on the game.
Is there a certain item?
If
he gets his Bloodstone and his team gets a bunch of kills just after that, that's gigantic. Alternatively, if Queen of Pain gets Orchid and they kill the Storm once or twice, it's also ridiculously big.
Dire's top tower is
then if
under
Earthjaker gets a Blink Dagger in the next 5 minutes or so, it's possible. Bloodseeker's Blade Mail is now done as well. countered out by the Clockwork's Blade Mail, but she can actually jump in and pop that, and try and find some kills out onto the Quap or Shadow Fiend or someone. But I agree. I think it's Bloodstone Storm, Orchid, Queen of Pain. Those are the 2 big items here for either team. The 2 safe lane heroes really have it in their hands as Demon is going to come in. His hookshot's ready. Justin blinks out, but it's not going to be far enough. The power shot. Justin's blinked into the hookshot almost there and will get taken out.
That's bad. I mean, she was really close to her Orchid. Just a couple 100 gold away. And if we're saying that Orchid and Bloodstone are 2 big pickups at this stage in the game, the Orchid's probably a bigger one just in the sense that it actively helps you to make those kills. Bloodstone, you get a much bigger benefit if you do make kills, but it's not like, oh, now I have Bloodstone, I have this extra capability of making kills. Sure, you have like extra regen and mana and stuff, but it's not, the Bloodstone itself doesn't just give you kills, whereas an Orchid's kind of can.
Yeah, Orchid is more of an enabler in getting kills.
Yeah, exactly. So setting it back is going to be a fairly big deal, I think.
Now, is Ush going for SNY straight up here, or is this going to be Yasha BKB? Because he kind of did like the Yasha in the previous game, then turn it into an SNY a little bit later. I can't remember what his build order was. No, he went Manta, not SNY.
Manta, yeah.
But I can't remember what his build order was, but he definitely skipped over the Manta initially and then bought something a little bit bigger. But he rushed BKB previously, didn't he?
Yeah, he went, last game he went Midas, BKB, I think then he went Helm of Dom and then Manta.
Yeah.
I think that was the build. But it was, I wouldn't be surprised if we went Manta and BKB again. It's a fairly old school approach to Shadow Fiend, but one that kind of makes sense to me again now. Especially when you're in a game like this where you're against so many heroes that can just like put things on you or irritate you. Having more than one way to Manta to confuse them about which the real you is, or BKB so they can't stun you or throw things at you. It's pretty nice fighting build. Now,
I don't know if this is confirmation bias or something, but the past like 2 weeks of casting stuff, I have seen an inordinate amount of double damage runes just as like Roshan spawning or just as a team wants to go and take Roshan or Sunbi. That's unfortunate. They've got vision in the pit. It's a free kill there. But the Dire still got away with Aegis and Roshan. Jonathan zipped on the Blade Mail, turned around and Silence up now onto that Mason Storm Spirit who is taken out in a matter of seconds. Orchid already paying off.
Yeah, and I would say Orchid could make kills well. If Storm like knocks on your door, rolls straight into you, Orchid's definitely going to make a kill there. You know what, about that Rush DD thing, I think it is confirmation bias, but I'd have the same bias. I've had the same experience that I keep seeing people pick up DD runes as Rush spawns. I mean, I'd be shocked if it was deliberately programmed into the game to, you know, a way to make it easier to kill Rush. It feels like that's the opposite of what they'd do. If anything,
yeah.
You know, if Ice Rock was secretly like forcing some runes to spawn around Rush spawn, it would probably be the non-DD runes.
It'd be the bounty.
Yeah, exactly. But it's weird. I have noticed a similar trend.
Well, just DD runes in general. Like, Cap and I were noticing it last night, where towards the end of like I think it was 55-minute, 60-minute game or something, there was that one DD rune spawn where it's like, oh god, that was a game-ending rune right there if you can pick it up. But it was just before the rune cycled and it turned into a bounty rune, and you think, oh well, that kind of negated itself. That doesn't exist anymore. But Ush, he is going into that BKB after Yasha, so he's going to tap himself up a little bit and try and deal with this Wind Ranger Shackle Shot. And also a Tusk Snowball, because Clairvoyance has Aghanim's, the Tusk has Arcanes, and almost Glimmer Cape on Fog. He always does very well for himself in farm. While Bleak only has Treads. I mean, he only has Treads. He's a 203 Witch Doctor. He's actually doing pretty damn well, seeing as he's buying all of the Obs and Sentries up there with about 3k net worth. And something pretty unusual is this offlane Earthshaker. Very often we see regular 20-minute blink daggers on the dot. 17-minute blink daggers sometimes even. But it's 20 minutes in almost, and he's nowhere near it. This offlane Earthshaker is pretty underfarmed. He is a 4-roll support.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You got to remember that he did start in the offlane, but he's actually one of the supports. They were running a greedy core in the jungle. It's not a full explanation for it, because if his early game went well and he didn't have any, he's 0-3-4. If he was 0-0-4, he'd be very close to blink. I think it's those deaths that, you know, set you back all the time. Because it's not just that you have extra gold from not dying, it's when you're not dying and you see your gold going up, then you're more likely to occasionally go get a
Pink was not solo on the bottom lane this time. He was actually ganking with his team, but Bleak has the good cast, bounces back and forth, and Demon has hookshotted in. Jonathan Blademail's trying to get himself out of the cogs, but cannot escape from Demon's cage. Sun B shards will block him in. It's going to be a 3-for-1 exchange. All chat, please. Was it worth it? That's all I want Mason to say. Because it's definitely not. Storm finished his Bloodstone. It's in the stash. You didn't actually limit the Storm's farm at all, really.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Mason didn't have something to say this time. And I wonder if it's maybe just like he's actually more focused on the fact that, you know, I'm annoyed I died than... Because some players are like that. You get the player that when they die and it's not worth it, they want to say, was it worth it? And you also get the player when they die, even though it's not worth it to the team, like they're more just concerned with like, damn it man, I'm annoyed I died.
Dire's bottom tower
I wonder what the Dire do with the Aegis of the Immortal right now, because Justin on his crop is looking to play aggressively. Defending the tier 1 and bot maybe is what they look towards, but with a focus fire out for Clairvoyance, level 2 focus fire, they take it down with ease. The Invis crop looking for the line. He sees 3 in a row here. Shadow Strike and the Orchid Claire. Silent stop, but they don't go in for the kill. Jugular was... The Jugular was right there, ready to be struck. But they didn't want to go for it. They don't know where Storm is. They couldn't really see the clockwork either.
Yeah, and I mean, Tuska's Glimmer Cape, Witch Doctor's got heal on. It feels like a trap waiting to happen. You go in there, and it could just as easily turn on you as succeeding in killing them. So I think it's respectable enough to not want to take that risk.
Radiant's top tower has been denied.
Queen of Pain also didn't have ulti up. That's probably a big decisive factor.
Well, Bloodseeker has yet really to show what he's made of. 2, 2, and 3. He's got plenty of last hits, and now he's heading into that S and Y of his own. But that that Blade Mail on the Bloodseeker, that's meant to be like a power spike item. That's meant to be when you run at supports and you find kill after killers. When you chase down things like heroes like the Clockwork. But he's got a Force Staff, he's got Blade Mail, and now he's found Sun B, the Earthshaker. He's alone. Echo Slam. Oh, Demon is actually in between 2 of them here with the Blade Mail up. Maybe they are a little bit worried about how much damage to deal back, and Sun B is definitely dropping low here. Glimmer Cape on Demon, but the Sonic Wave before he can hookshot. Justin should be fine to blink away. Does he want to, though? Fogs, TP's out. No stuns coming. No one to stop him.
Yeah, it's something interesting actually about the lineup of Mischief, because I was complimenting that it was an intelligent kind of greed, a good approach to the game. They masked their picks. There wasn't really anything to be done about the lane stage. They were just going to get extra value. But when you have this like greedy lineup that gets value by assigning your heroes to lanes and jungle in strange ways, sometimes you can lose track of like, now that once the lane stage breaks down, what's each person meant to do? You know, what are the important item timings? When should I farm? When should I do things?
Oh, good silence there. The Skara stopped Mason from chasing the quad because Justin, he was in an awful lot of trouble there. If the Storm did continue zipping and rolling, the Queen of Pain could have found herself dead. And that would have been death just before her BKB's delivered actually as well. The Manta Star's done for the Shadow Fiend, so BKB Manta. And he really does love the Manta Star. It's something we don't often see on Shadow Fiends anymore. SNY has become ever popular. And Manta is usually an item you pick up on heroes, you know, like Ember or Shadow Fiend when there's an Orchid. When you're trying to deal with a global silence, you know, after you BKB or something like that, to try and dispel, to try and dodge spells. What do you think the reasoning is here for it? Tower damage?
It's kind of just the original defensive fighting build. I mean, in 6.83 we had these stat builds, S and Y Scardy, everyone was going. But way long ago before that, I mean, not just Shadow Fiends, all the ranged AG carries. I remember Drow range used to go Manta BKB all the time as well.
Oh god, they found Ush, but they don't know who's behind him. He pops his BKB and Demon, once again trapped on the wrong side of the river. Sun B cannot Fisher, cannot Echo, cannot do anything except dig his own grave as Mason finds the Skyrath. There's no silence, there's nothing to stop him now except the Queen of Pain with the Orchid. She's got a BKB herself, but she doesn't have a Sonic Wave. Ush does manage to battle it out in the back end of the fight. Justin, though, is in the middle of 4 heroes here. Mason, Bleak, and now Clairvoyance. They fight an illusion of the Shadow Fiend, but they're all alive. Bloodseeker, Earthshaker, Skarath all drop.
Dire's middle tower
while the 2 cores limp themselves away. That's another great fight there. How many Bloodstone charges did he get? He's up to 10 now.
Yeah, it's bad fight for Mischief, and again I can't shake the feeling that there's just uncertainty about what each person's role is and what each person's meant to be doing right now at this stage in the game, and some of that is linked to, you know, they had something of a contrived draft, which was very clever to give them a lane stage advantage. But they need to have a clearer plan when they're going to take these fights, what they're going to do, and even when they're farming, how to distribute the farm on the map. Is it important to them for Earthshaker to get Blink? Because then they need to prioritize it. Is it important to them for Bloodseeker to get... Or Bloodseeker's actually just bought a gem.
Huh.
I
Interesting.
don't really know why. Are they... Maybe... there's 2 Glimmer Capes in the enemy team. I didn't really see that Glimmer Cape played a vital role in that last fight, but I could have just been not paying enough attention. Did you see someone get saved at the last second by Glimmer Cape?
It's just annoying, I guess. You know, with the storm zipping in, and then you can't silence him, you can't do anything. It's difficult to handle. And Bloodseeker, you know, he wants to get people low and then choose his targets. If someone's glimmered, he can't right-click them down below the threshold to then see them through the invis. It's just difficult to handle. And obviously, Gem, on top of that, you can go around dewarding. They know that there are key places here that the Radiant have actually warded up, and that's one of the places. Sun B, he wanted the rest of his team to come and help. He buys a Quelling Blade and a TP scroll.
Yeah, Sun B, I mean, just making my point better, to be honest, because yeah, 0-7, again, each time I just look at, like, if it's 0-0, he's either has a blink or he's very close to it. Well, there's an aggressive smoke play from the Radiant. And this might be a gem.
They're gonna get the gem, yeah, you're right. Jonathan down and out. Gem is dropped. Not gonna find any additional kills here, but the fact they had the gem and they didn't deward a single of the 2 wards that were up. A 3rd ward has now been placed as well over near the Ancients to scout this out. But they had that gem and they didn't deward anything.
Honestly, it's a strange approach to buy a gem and then sort of just keep playing quite split up. It's not like he was unkillable, he was far from unkillable, he was quite fragile, I would say. Picks up a gem and then doesn't try to stick with his team. Makes me feel like the gem pickup in the first place is maybe quite impulsive, and maybe there's a little bit of tilting going on. Maybe maybe that earlier Mason comment is still in their head, and you know, they won the first game, thought they were doing well in this game, expected to be doing better, and then when things start going badly, that kind of thing can get into your head.
If tilting is happening, it just got worse. Observer Ward was placed out by the Earthshaker as well as a sentry up towards his bottom rune spot, and Witch Doctor walks across with the gem he stole and takes down both of them. Mason now completing his BKB, and there's a crit for Clairvoyance, I'm guessing as well here. Heading onto the Wind Ranger, so Ags, Blink, crit. They've nearly got a mech done on Fog. Demon has his Blade Mail Force, and I wonder, Ogre Club could indicate BKB, could be moving into the Ags. Could even be something like a Halberd as well. Against SF, Corp, and Bloodseeker is actually not that bad. You know, Bloodseeker is going to be very good against. Oh, they found Justin. Pops his BKB on the Storm Spirit, and Justin has to use his own with the Echo Slam out. Sun B's in the midst of things here. Ash blocked off by the Cogs, has the Requiem, but Mason, he's just running them down. Ball lightnings away as Ash is finally taken down by Fog, punching him up into the air. They're on the retreat now, though. The Wind Ranger has died. Bleak is dropping low. Justin again has blinked in and can't use his ultimate. The Scarlet Mage ulti is going to try and do as much as it can, but the Bloodright will only catch Demon, who Blade Mails through it and finds a secondary kill here on the Scarlet Mage, and that is devastating for the Dire. Once again, the Quap cannot even use Sonic Wave. The Storm Spirit gets another couple of Bloodstone charges, and all they lose is the Wind Ranger.
Yeah. Now I'm thinking back to we used to have these conversations about focusing on utility as opposed to just carry, and that's the way I want to frame this game at this point is, you know, to have a Storm Spirit and a Wind Ranger as your 2 clear cores and then 3 high utility heroes in Task, Witch Doctor, and Clockwork. Maybe it's just a bit more straightforward and easier to play a draft like that than, sure, that Mischief draft was able to lane in a novel way, get a lot of value off the map, but ultimately they've got 3 cores, support Earthshaker, which provides a lot of utility, and the Scarlet Mage, which, while very useful early on, and certain players like AUI can provide a lot of utility with later, it's not what I consider to be like a high utility hero when it comes to these fights, when people start getting BKBs, when, you know, it doesn't have an actual proper disable, doesn't have a way to save allies, it just kind of throws out damage. And with Earthshaker being their only true utility hero on their team, and just kind of feeding all game, it's difficult for them to have that notion of control when it comes to the fights, whereas the other team has control everywhere. Even their 2 cores have control.
Yeah, Earthshaker 0, 8, and 6. Still further and further away from that Blink Dagger. And I don't know, Glimmer Cape, Mech and Arcanes on the Fog. He's the epitome of a utility hero. Aghanim's is going to be done in a short amount of time for Bleak. He's got 700, 800 gold on top of his point booster. And Roshan, it's the target here for the Dire, but getting into the pit is definitely not easy. With rocket flares flying out from Demon, who he was close to level 16 a while back. He's still level 15. But he has just completed his BKB. And you're right, the Scar's Mage silences, good. Mystic Flare is great. If you can pump out that damage, you do provide a lot in the team fights. But if you actually look at Black Sheep here, and the damage spread they have across like physical and magical, how much physical damage do they have outside of the Shadow Fiend? Very little, right? They've got Quap with a pure damage Sonic Wave. Okay, that can go through BKB. Bloodseeker, Bloodright. To start things off, they want to try and get people low. So Sonic Wave, Bloodright is kind of what they aim for. Earthshaker, magical. Without the blink, you can't get the blink. Echo Slam, Scars can't do anything. The 3 BKBs here from the Radiant.
Shadow Fiend. Wow.
Oh, the hook shot though! Demon catches him from the side. He's got a BKB, so there's no Mystic Flare. There's nothing. Mason is held in there with a Requiem. Okay. I'm pretty sure you BKB there, but Death Ward is down. The Snowball's going to catch Ush, and Fog still wants to fight this. The Shackle Shot, not available. Still gets the kill, though. Fully finally right-clicked down by Justin. This is one of the more clustered fights I've seen in a long time, as somebody just walks up and Echo Slams down. Demon is last man standing in this team fight. Storm Sprint zips across, looking for the kill. Demon finds the Earthshaker, so it's a 2 for 4. But Mason,
well
that's a big error from Mason, zipping in and not using BKB.
Also really well done from Ash at the start. I'm not sure, maybe I didn't see it, but Mason was invisible at the start, standing right on top of him. And like it looked like Mason was about to start on Ash, and he just casually manted and walked away. Sure, he got caught by the clock hook, but I think if they start on him before he even gets to Manta, clock hooks in right after the Storm uses his pull. And I don't know if he gets the Manta or the BKB off. So I don't know, maybe I missed something, but it seemed like Ash just kind of spidey sensed that. He was like, hey, something's not right here, and like manted and walked away. And if that is correct, it's an impressive instinct to have.
Well, Queen of Pain can now actually start thinking about her next item. That fight has been drastically improving her net worth. Up to 13k now, and on top of the plate mail, 1500 gold in the bank, going to clear out this bottom creep wave. But that aggressive play, it doesn't damage, it doesn't dampen High Council's actual strength too much. You know, you lose a couple of Bloodstone charges. What, he lost 4 Bloodstone charges? 3? Clockwork, you give away a couple of streaks, you give away a little bit of gold. Maybe you push the Dire, what is that actually? 3000 gold. It's not that big. 3000 experience swing. It's actually not such a big deal. Bloodseeker still doesn't have a big item. Blade Mail Yasha, absolutely nothing. The Shadow Fiend gets pushed up to a Demon Edge and Helm of the Dominator with 2200 gold in the bank. But they don't have any of these big game-changing fight-winning items like a Hex, like a Butterfly. Something that can lock down the Storm and actually turn and stand your ground and fight.
I think High Council are pretty far ahead right now, and I think they have the better lineup going forward. But there is one weakness, and it's similar to the previous game. It's if Mason does die sometime, doesn't have buyback, and isn't respawning really fast because of Bloodstone, his team will just lose pretty much instantly. It doesn't seem easy for that to happen, but we did see him make one reckless play there, and if you were to make a couple more, the game then I think could turn around. Beyond that, I mean, look, it's not even as, you know, I'm not saying it's completely focused on him. The Wind Ranger does a lot of carrying in this game, but I do feel like if the entire enemy team's alive and ready and the Storm is picked off, you're just not winning a fight. It's not happening. No matter how all the utility in the world, you've got all this control, the Storm is just necessary. Maybe once Witch Doctor has Aghanim's Scepter, then his ulti with the Wind Ranger can be enough damage to win a fight. But at the moment, the Storm is the major damage output on their team.
Yeah, like Wind Ranger is annoying with a Shackle Shot, with a Focus Fire. Oh god, no! No! No. You can connect by IP. You can connect by IP. Oh my god. How do you find IP? How do you IP? How do you do things? How do you... Oh my god, there's no reconnect button in freaking Reborn? Are you serious?
Oh my goodness. Not like this.
Yeah, not like this. Oh, come on.
That is not what you meant to do. That is... That's also not what you meant to do.
XD memes. I hope that's a fake hype. Like, honestly, that's an NA Dota meme, right? Like, that's not the real IP. Please.
Wow. This whole situation just escalated. Hopefully we're gonna see a reconnect.
At least they have time to talk to each other in all chat, you know. Okay. Now, Storm Spirit's got 3,500 gold. I'm guessing he's gonna go buy like a plate mail or something here to deal with the minus armor from Shadow Fiend and the right click attacks out from the Dire. And then you build into like a Shiva's Guard. Shiva's Storm has been increasingly popular over things like the Hex and Orchid, because there are sort of a few different avenues you go down. There's the Orchid into Bloodstone, or the Bloodstone into Orchid, or like Bloodstone is pretty much always a given, right? Bloodstone is such a great efficient item on Storm Spirit. Then there's like the Bloodstone BKB into Shivas, and then Hex later on a little bit. But very rarely do you go Bloodstone BKB Orchid. And right here, when you know that the SF and QoP already have their BKBs, it's obviously going to lose its efficiency quite heavily. So I really see him just trying to tank up and get as much value out of his items as possible. Because like you said, he is the one hope here to actually dish out damage in a consistent way. Because Clairvoyant, you latch onto one target, you focus fire, you shackle, and then you kind of, you know, locked onto that one guy for the fight. You don't really want to switch off, you don't want to choose someone else and waste your focus fire.
You know, I was just about to agree with you, but he has actually picked up the Orchid.
Oh really? Okay.
He just did that, so...
Interesting.
Like...
I mean...
The nice thing about this for me, really, the very big thing is he can actually focus the Earthshaker. I don't know if that's his plan. I think it should be his plan. Because this is what I was talking about the whole time. Earthshaker is the only control for his team. And he doesn't have Blink yet even. He needs to get a big fissure off, and if he can't get good spells off, his team just can't control the fights.
Ooh. They've got the snowball into the midst here, and punched into the air, but Storm has already killed the ES. You're right, Jonathan now being ripped apart as well. And they've killed off 2 ES and BS, both dead. Osh stands his ground to try and fight, but Demon traps him in the cogs. Clairvoyant taken out by that Arcane Orb. But Storm still rampaging through them all. He's silenced up, but he stands and turns to fight the Orchid against Orchid action. Justin turns to run and hide, but he can't! Mason with an Ultra. Justin? Question mark?
I guess
5
he's wondering
for 4.
why Justin stopped attacking him. I mean, Justin obviously realized he's not going to win that fight, but I suppose there's no way he can escape either. Yeah, Storm targeting the Earthshaker. Earthshaker actually did get fissure off there. He didn't get his ulti off, and that could have been significant if he got it off. But I think that's what Mason buys Orchid for here. I think that, I mean, it's also like a cheapish extra DPS item, kind of like pseudo DPS item, which is nice. But if he's able to catch the Earthshaker before fissure, before anything, in all of these fights, there's no control at all. None. And it's an issue. Like, as much as you need damage, you also need utility, you also need control. You need to be able to position or disable or save people, something like that, to disrupt the enemy team's plan in a given team fight.
Yeah. And equally, he can still go for the Bloodseeker with Scarth as well. The Earthshaker obviously is like a primary target, but he can still find solo kills and those little guys as well without even using his BKB. That's one of the things that it allows him to do, is save that BKB. And right there, the value of it when the Queen of Pain's BKB was down at the end of the fight and he managed to get it off onto her and find that counter kill as well in that 1v1 scenario. Immediately valuable.
The smoke.
Who are they going to find though? Who do they jump onto? Earthshaker again, half mana, now Clairvoyant wants Ush, but that Bloodright is down on all of them. Sunbeam's already dead in the midst of things, and Jubei out as well. With the Requiem slowing them down and reducing their damage, Mason doesn't really care. Zips and zaps, and Ush stands his ground to try and fight with his MKB, with his lifesteal. He'll find Fog. The Tusk is gone. But Mason has the mana, the sustain to actually battle through it all. Justin silenced up. Mason and Demon both low on the HP. The deny out from Storm Spirit there, just in case the Orchid did pop him in the end. Justin manages to blink himself back. Demon, hook shot in 10 seconds time now. But a 3-for-3 trade there. The smoke gank, the aggressive play out from the Radiant, obviously stops the Dire from taking Roshan.
I think they should take that out of the game. I've heard a lot of people saying nerf Storm, nerf Bloodstone. I think just remove the suiciding parts. Just take it out completely. I mean, I heard some people say change the cooldown, or I mean, the issue is as the game goes later, Bloodstone's already like ramping you up. It's already giving you faster respawn, more mana regen to go around the map. It's bad enough it does all that stuff, but now people go to the trouble to find a way to kill you, and you can deny them all the value that they would get.
Yeah.
I want to say that when that first got added to Bloodstone, because it wasn't always like that, it didn't always have that suicide function. I feel like they originally added it so that you could do cool things like realize that it's better for you to kill yourself and kill your team than keep fighting. I don't think they added it for the purpose of like denying enemy kills, and that's not what it's being used for all the time. If there was a way to change it so that it could only be used to save people, I'd be totally fine with that. Maybe when you use it on yourself, if there's enemies nearby that would otherwise get an assist, that you just still give them the gold and XP.
Yeah, like it counts as tower damage or something like that instead. Like it's an instant kill on you. But the hook shot across with the Storm, using pretty much all of his mana here. He'll find 2 kills. 1 kill? 1 kill? That's Skywrath Mage. Count your lucky stars to get out of that one alive. But once again, they stopped the Roche scout. They stopped the Roche attempt if the Dire did want to get in there. They've also bought time for Clairvoyance up at top, who's got himself almost a fully completed Daedalus. Oh no, he's going for the BKB, I forgot. He picked up the Ogre Club over in the stash. He's trying to get into his BKB. Unless he gets caught.
Has Earthshaker's dagger been spotted yet?
I don't think it has.
Maybe he can kill the Wind Ranger here. Or maybe he wants to keep the reveal for fights. I don't know if they've actually seen that the Wind Ranger is still in their jungle. They must have a suspicion.
Oh, has he seen him now? Definitely has. Oh, no! No.
That was very, very, very close.
No.
I mean, that animation is pretty much instant, so I very much doubt whether Clairvoyance is reacting to the animation itself. Just like timing it to the second with the blink dagger.
It's like, oh, there's an Earthshaker. I've spotted him. Time to blink out. And obviously, the majority of pros now use quick cast as well. So it's not as though he had to double tap. He didn't have to click, you know, use the hotkey and then click. It's just click and blink. That's it. You're out. Into a safe spot. Gets himself away from that pretty rough situation. And he's got his BKB done. Oh, wow, okay. That courier is stacked. Bleak, Aghanim's done. BKB for that Wind Ranger. Going to be heading up the top as well. And this puts them in a very commanding position for the next fight. The Shiva's Guard. Even done for Mason over on that Storm Spirit. So he did go back for that after the Orchid. And now he has tanked himself up against that Shadow Fiend. We did see the SF did a ton of damage actually to that Storm when he stood and fought with the MKB, the Helm of the Dominator, and that Manta style with the BKB. You can stand and fight. Even with the Ball Lightning zipping back and forth. It's just this Queen of Pain. If she doesn't get in a good position to get her Sonic Wave to silence up someone like the Witch Doctor in the middle of the fight, you know, these 2 Glimmer Capes. We haven't seen much from Fogged. He has had a very sort of understated game this time around compared to last game, where he was snowballing and finding kills and pickoffs. And now the hook shot. Jonathan has been caught once again. He's in the cogs, but his blade mail doesn't do that much. Demon forces himself away as Justin links out to safety for now anyway, but he's going to get chased down. Orchid onto the Storm, but the shards trap in too, and Sunbi without Echo Slam. The Shackle catches the Scars on the back end, and the Death Ward to finish it all off. Mason gets a triple. He's up to 16.
I've been talking all the time about how Mischief have damage, but they don't have utility, and honestly, the HCoW&P have both. And with the Witch Doctor picking up the Aghanim Scepter, it almost feels like they could have more damage. They might just have, they already have way more utility and control, but they might also have more damage at this point. At which point, I mean, you know, what is what kind of advantage does the Dire have? Like, if they want to play to their advantages, what does that actually mean? Which are they? What are their advantages?
Well, Bloodseeker isn't a hero in this game. He actually has not done anything. The last worthy thing he did was maybe gank the middle lane once. Because ever since he tried to kill that Witch Doctor at bot lane, right, with that rupture and the failed gank when he got turned on, he actually hasn't done anything. He's 2-8-8. His blood right's okay in the team fight. They're annoying. You've got to dodge them. The Storm has to use BKB or has to zip out. But now I'm just watching Ush. Shackle shot and focus fire. Followed up with Storm stealing, securing the kill. Mason gets himself up to 17 Bloodstone charges.
I think you're exactly right, and I think it really is a product of
Glimmercade. You can't do anything.
Oh, yeah. It's a product of having this draft, which was around very cleverly, you know, manipulating the lane stage into such a way that you'd greedily get away with getting way more value than the enemy team. But they didn't seem to have a plan. While they had a great plan for the lane stage there, they didn't seem to have a plan for what does each of our heroes do after the lane stage. And to make matters worse, it's not just not having a plan. The first few things the Bloodseeker tried to do were just completely unsuccessful and backfired. And yeah, he's looked kind of lost since then. Not really sure. Am I a carry in this game? What am I? Am I a support?
Bloodseeker is a relatively early game carry. You know, he's very item reliant. He hits his power spike very early on, and you need BKB on him, especially against this lineup. Blade Mail, great. Sandra Nyasha, great items. Yeah, sure. They stack up your stats. They give you this fighting capability. But if you cannot outlast your opponents in a team fight, if you don't have a magic immunity, if you get stunned up and taken out relatively quickly, Bloodseeker is a non-factor. And we have seen time and time again with especially safe lane Bloodseekers, and I know like the majority of my experience with jungle Bloodseekers is in pubs, outside of Kuroki's 4-role Bloodseeker at ESL Frankfurt, where he did a decent job, but that was mainly down to the rest of the draft completely stomping their lanes anyway. I just wonder if Midas would have been better for him here as well and focused more on farming. Because if he hadn't moved around, they won their lanes, right? They were 6 kills ahead. They were winning.
Yeah.
Then when Bloodseeker started roaming, they pushed themselves to try and win harder, but ended up losing. So if he had focused on farming and just kept themselves at that steady pace of, you know, incrementally increasing their lead slowly but surely, then I think that they would be in an excellent spot, where he would have items, where Ush would still be okay, and the High Council would be scared of actually fighting into them.
Yeah, I think you're right. They needed to go for a more farmy approach to extend their lead, especially because of the lack of control and utility in their lineup. To try and extend your lead by taking fights, when yours is not a lineup that has much versatility in hard fights, is always going to be very risky. The enemy team has so many heroes that can
hook shot. Who's he caught? Right in the back on the tier 4, the Skywrath. Glimmercade's himself up, so he should be okay for now, but Storm Spirit, Death Ward bouncing onto all of them. Ush dropping low, but it's cancelled out. Now the Requiem onto the top of the Storm, but he's still dead. Ush with one more click out. The Sonic Wave's good onto Demon and Bleak. But the control here from the Radiant is just too much. Storm is on half HP, has mana. The Blink Echo catches them both now as Mason should be okay to turn and fight. Buybacks galore out from the Dire though, as the Radiant are on full retreat. No stuns to stop his TP. And Blink should get away as well. Double buyback out though, Quap and Shadow Fiend. Both expending a ton of gold. Like 1600 down the drain for that Quap and 800 almost for the Shadow Fiend. Just gone.
Yeah, they're in pretty dire straits. They're on their last lives. And again, their most likely route to winning the game is to kill Storm without buyback. Right now, what does that mean? He's got Aegis, that's 1 life. He's got buyback, that's another. He's got 20 Bloodstone charges, that's pretty much an instant respawn. And even after that, the next one will be a pretty fast respawn. So if they could kill Storm Spirit like 5 times in a row, they'll probably win.
Look at him, Mason.
He's just having some fun. He knows, like, why not? Like, he's the king of this game right now, and that kind of move might make him kill it every now and then, and if it doesn't, so what? It's not much of a risk.
Well, we finally got to see Earthshaker make a move in that fight. It gets a pretty nice little echo slam out there on a couple of heroes, but Mason, Aegis expires, regens back up, 7,000 gold available to him to buy an item. Ridiculous amount of cash. Then you've got Clairvoyance, who can nearly afford a full Daedalus if he wants to. And his DPS is going through the roof. I think Radiant, they've... the Blink Dagger that was picked up by Bleak previously as well allowed him to escape that fight pretty nicely. But they have got all of the tools at their disposal to go end the game. As long as they can go and fight now while the buybacks are on cooldown, I don't see a reason. I don't see a way back into this for Black Sheep unless they go for some kind of drastic smoke gank right now. To go and pick off someone like the Storm. To try and find, you know, the silence after stuns, the Blink Echo into Ancient Seal, and the Blood Right. But then how do you stop him using BKB? You don't have a Hex. You don't have any further control outside of the Earthshaker. How do you kill him during that fissure, during the Echo Slam?
Shadow Fiend's dead.
And you definitely can't kill him now that Shadow Fiend's dead for 2 minutes.
Yep.
I don't think you can defend your rack.
He fought the Talisman of Evasion on his way to Butterfly, and before he can even finish the Butterfly, Mason's got his MKB.
Yeah.
And charges at him. Probably didn't even need Demon there. I think he could just solo kill there.
Oh, they're not going to push it too hard. Mason just wants to clear out these creep waves and keep it going. Oh, really? Is this Radiant Courier scouting out Justin? Or is Justin scouting out the Radiant Courier? It flies over his head. He says, thank you very much. But he's farming the jungle. He's not creep skipping. He's got to do it now, surely. He's got to go mid, cut the wave, try and clear it as much as he can. But top lane is the one that they're pushing into, actually, here. There's 5 heroes converge onto the tier 3. Mason zips in deep. He's going 1v2. Jonathan, Vortex. Focus down. No buyback on your Bloodseeker, and Storm just keeps on going. Demon at the hook shot, and Justin with Jubei. They're being focused. Finally, Mason dies. The question mark. Hello? Lag? Except Mason is alive already. And now he BOTs back towards the base. Queen of Pain still doesn't have buyback. 3 minutes on cooldown. They jump straight on into him. What's the plan now? LFMAO. That's what Mason says. Good game's called, and guys, we're going to a game number 3. High Council of Wizards and Priests come back in game 2. And that's a dominant performance from them.
Yep, they needed to kill Mason at least 2 or 3 more times to have any chance. It was just never happening. Like a total display of dominance by him in this game. 21, 5, and 11. Pretty convincing game for the High Council actually this time.
Well, we'll be back in a couple of minutes, guys, with game number 3. I'm Durka. Joining me is Scant. Don't go anywhere.